Part 57. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chaoji Depang. Chapter 566. In the center of the Fire Spirit Star region, a vast, fiery red warship, with a whoosh, came from a distance and sailed into a translucent flame halo. This warship is the Fire God warship of the Fire God Alliance. At this time, the people on the warship, in addition to the soldiers of the Fire God Alliance, also included players who performed well in the Game of the Gods game recruited by the Fire God Alliance in the entire Fire God Star region. Suddenly, the warship entered the flame halo and disappeared abruptly, as if it had entered another space. Of course, this is indeed the case. As the warship entered the flame halo, a voice suddenly sounded in the warship. "Welcome to the Fire God space." At the same time, inside the warship, a group of players of the Gods game quit the game, looked outside through the warship, and showed excitement. The Fire God space is the holy land of all people in the Fire Spirit Star region. Kneel down, gods, hum. However, when other players showed their expectations, 3 players clenched their fists with ugly faces. These 3 players were Qiting Fenyin, Zhou Baimith, and Yu Bai Tianwang, who were killed by Chen Ronghuo without any chance of fighting back. The first place in the ranking list is indeed well deserved. Zhou Baimith took a deep breath. Originally, he was very confident in his own strength. Even though Chen Ronghuo's level was much higher than his, he did not think that he had no resistance at all. But the result? At this time, a young man suddenly walked up to the 3 of them and comforted them. "You don't have to mind. According to the news from above, the current strength of those who are on the ranking list is far beyond yours. Even if you can get rich resources, even if you can raise your level to the same level as them, it is still the same. In addition, you encountered the gods kneeling down this time, fought with him, and got his information, which is a great achievement. The Alliance will definitely reward you generously." After hearing this, Qiting Fenyin and the other 2 looked much better. As for the young man saying that the people on the ranking list are all much stronger than them, although they feel unwilling, they have seen Chen Ronghuo's strength and recalled the feeling of powerlessness when they were crushed by Chen Ronghuo in the battle with him. They feel depressed. After thinking about it, Ziyuabi Mythology still asked, "My lord, I wonder if the Alliance will deal with the gods next." The young man shook his head. "The people on the ranking list have mysterious origins and are not the same as us. It is a matter of time to deal with them, but not now. However, it won't take long. During this period, we found that some unused login crystals have changed. According to predictions, this change may lead to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even higher level ability users in our world being able to log into the world of gods after a period of time." "What?" In an instant, Qiting Fenjin and the other 3 showed a look of uncertainty. If high-level ability users in the real universe can enter the game, it will definitely have a huge impact on the original pattern of the game. And for them, it is also extremely shocking news. Now, they are the best among many players, and they are even favored by the Vulcan Alliance and allowed to enter the Vulcan space. But once countless high-level ability players enter the game, can they still be valued by the Vulcan Alliance as they are now? You know, in the major star fields, there are countless low-level ability players of level 2, level 3, level 4. Such people. Seeing the expressions of the 3 people, the young man was very satisfied. The changes in the login crystal are not too hidden. The major forces in each star field have noticed it. It is just based on speculation that the first batch of players entering the Game of the Gods may be somewhat special. So players such as Qiting Fenjin may still have a significant impact on the Alliance. But there is no need to tell these players about this immediately. "My lord, in this case, before the high-ability players enter the game, can we only let the gods kneel down to these people's arrogance?" Ziyuabi Myth asked with a deep breath. When Chen Ronghuo killed him, he let him run for dozens of meters first, and then nailed him to death on the tree with a sword. The scene was too much of a blow to him. Later, please post the video of your previous battle to the player forum, and I will add kneeling gods to the wanted list of the Dark Alliance. As for other things, you don't have to worry about them for now. The young man said calmly. He knew that with the power of the major forces in the game, even if kneeling gods was added to the wanted list of the Dark Alliance, it would not bring much trouble to kneeling gods. However, his purpose in doing so was not to cause trouble for Chen Ronghuo, but to use the power of countless players to collect information related to Chen Ronghuo so as to prepare for the future. Mom and Dad, try this, it's so sweet. At Chen's house, Chen Xiao took a bunch of crystal clear spiritual fruits and handed them to Chen's father and mother, saying, "Today is my luckiest day ever. You don't know, when I was playing with Ada, Air, Asin, ACI, a big bird flew over me with spiritual fruits in its mouth, and when I was about to quit the game, it dropped the spiritual fruits in my hands." Looking at Chen Xiao showing off in front of them, Chen's father and mother smiled slightly. They took the spiritual fruits handed over by their daughter and tasted them. They really hope that the days to come will continue like this. The daughter will be carefree and the son will be safe. Of course, if the couple could continue to be like this, exploring the mysteries and enjoying the scenery in the game of gods every day, and playing games to level up and relax when they are tired, it would be even better. Suddenly, the couple looked at each other as if they had telepathy. Some time ago, Chen Ronghuo found an excuse and gave Chen's father and mother a few pills each. These pills can only increase the experience points of the two people, but because Chen Ronghuo incorporated some life and youth attributes into them, the two people now have restored their youthful appearance. Chen's father is handsome and Chen's mother is beautiful. When Chen Xiao saw this scene, he couldn't even believe his eyes. Level 28. A few days later, Chen Ronghuo stood up in the bedroom and ended this retreat. His bedroom was decorated with many defensive formations to prevent him from failing to do something, bringing danger to his family, or destroying the house. After a few days of retreat, he gained a lot. After a lot of alchemy, weapon refining, talisman making, and using a lot of array materials, and repeatedly experimenting with array formations in his bedroom, his 4 secondary professions have all reached level 28. In addition, after he digested all the previous gains and took all the pills that could increase experience points that he had refined in the past few days, his 4 professions of Chaos Warlock, Sword Warlock, Soul Warlock, and Divine Power Warrior all broke through to level 28. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 567. I used to think that the top 10 players in the ranking list were very strong, but I didn't expect that they were so strong. The video of Chen Ronghuo killing Qiting Fenjian and Zi Yuabi Shenhua in a short time quickly spread on the player forum. The first to create his own skills, the first to leave the novice town, and the first to dominate the ranking list from beginning to end, the gods kneel, was born with terrifying traffic. Especially no matter how others talked about it, the gods kneel had never appeared in the public eye, which made the name of the gods kneel a bit mysterious. Therefore, this time, the video about Chen Ronghuo's trumpet spread out, which immediately caused a huge sensation, and almost all players talked about it. I don't know how many posts are related to Chen Ronghuo, and it's not an exaggeration to describe it as overwhelming. The video recorded by the built-in recording function of the Gods game is extremely clear, and it can even give people a sense of being there. The whole video is not long, but from Chen Ronghuo's shot to the end, every look and every movement of his are amazing. Especially at the end, when Chen Ronghuo let the giant sword fly out of his hand, and then formed a several meter-sized air tornado behind the giant sword. I don't know how many people opened their mouths and looked stunned. Those who know the business know that many second-level practitioners can make much more noise than Chen Ronghuo. But no one can make such a powerful move like Chen Ronghuo with pure strength. It's hard to imagine. I always thought I was very powerful, but I didn't expect that someone would be so much more powerful than me. Moreover, does anyone know what's wrong with the two eyes of the gods? Why do they stare at people and make people feel so scared? His body looks like a mountain. I heard that it is a state of mind. Only when the soul power is strong and there is a deep understanding in a certain aspect can it be achieved. I am very puzzled. We entered the game on the same day. How can the gods kneel so strongly? On the top of a 1,000-meter-high mountain, Chen's father and mother stood on the edge of the cliff, enjoying the sunrise while waiting for a big bird to leave in the distance. Prepare to steal its cubs and tame them. Mother Chen asked, "Old Chen, you also watched the video of the gods kneeling, what do you think of his strength?" "Very strong," Father Chen said solemnly, "I am best at strength, but he is stronger than me, and much stronger." Alas, Mother Chen sighed. Someone on the forum said that the unused login crystals are changing. After a while, there may be a large number of low and medium level ability users in the major star regions, logging into the game. If that day really comes, our lives will be difficult. Both of them are on the wanted list of the Dark Alliance. Now the Dark Alliance's power in the Gods game is not too strong, but when a large number of ability users log in, it will obviously be different. At the Chen family, Chen Ronghuo opened the door and walked out of the bedroom. After arriving at the restaurant, he took out the dishes he had made some time ago from the refrigerator and tasted them slowly. The refrigerator at home has been transformed into an incubator by him using the formation. And the food put in it will not deteriorate for a long time. While eating delicious food, Chen Ronghuo opened the friend list on the attribute panel. There were not many messages from his parents and sister. Chen Ronghuo also proposed to level up with a few people, but they were rejected by them. After regaining the vitality of youth, Chen's father and mother seemed to want to spend some time in a simple world of two. As for Chen Xiao, he was just having fun. He seemed to want to form a pet army on his own. After taking a general look, Chen Ronghuo found a message from classmate Xiao Lixiu. "I'm so tired, what is teacher Xiao Chen busy with? Please comfort me /U003E/U003C. I'm going to kill the dungeon boss tomorrow, teacher Chen must pray for me. The big boss scared me to death, but fortunately finally came out, happy. Today I want to." With a smile, Chen Ronghuo read one by one. It took a long time to finish. After reading it, Chen Ronghuo realized that Xiao Lixiu had left the dungeon space yesterday. Thinking about it, Chen Ronghuo sent a message to Li Shui, "Your teacher Chen has come out of retreat and is enjoying delicious food. I will find you later." A blushing expression was quickly sent by Li Shui. "Really? Am I dreaming? Pinch myself, it hurts a little. I feel like I am about to be knocked unconscious by happiness. What if I don't perform well in front of the teacher later, woo woo?" Seeing Li Shui's reply, Chen Ronghuo smiled. For Chen Ronghuo, chatting with Li Shui like this is very comfortable, and he even unconsciously outlines the shy expression of little Li Shui when she sent a message in his mind. Once Chen Ronghuo consumed his strength and presented the picture of little Li Shui with an ancient book. So he knew that the woman opposite him would smile and have a bright expression every time she sent a message to him or replied to a message. Magic City. After receiving the message from Chen Ronghuo, Li Shui's heart was beating like a deer. She thought about it, quit the game, changed into a white dress, put on light makeup, and dressed up carefully. Then she calmed her heartbeat and calmed down. Then she quickly logged into the game and found several teammates who had leveled up with her before. After she left the copy space, she came to Ice Flame City. In more than 2 months, there were tens of billions of people on Earth and there were only a few thousand players who had broken through to the second level. It can be said to be a ratio of 1,000th. And these thousands of second level players, after leaving the novice town, came to dozens of cities in the eastern part of the Shenlong Empire, including Iron Mountain City and Binjian City. On average, there are more than 100 people in each city. After Li Shui left the dungeon space not long ago, she met several second-level cultivators in Ice Flame City and teamed up with each other to defeat monsters twice. Tisk, tisk, Xiaobai looks very different today. A charming woman wearing red leather armor looked up and down when she saw Li Shui, and teased. The environment in Binjian City is cold, basically below zero. In such an environment, no one like Li Shui can be seen wearing a dress. Of course, as a second-level player and a snow god warlock, Li Shui's ability to withstand the cold is not comparable to that of ordinary people. There were two young men with the woman in red leather armor. When the two young men saw Li Shui's outfit, their eyes were involuntarily attracted. One of the young men holding a green scepter in his hand had his eyes flashing, looking a little surprised. There were only two men in their team, and he was the only one who was a rare warlock. Who is Li Shui dressing up like this for? Especially when he thought of Li Shui's words yesterday, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth unconsciously. Li Shui is beautiful and has a good personality, and her bow skills shown in the past 2 days are even more amazing. He is very optimistic about Li Shui. But at this moment, Li Shui suddenly said, "Sister Meng, I'm sorry, my friend came to see me, and I won't be with you today." When several people heard this, their expressions were a little strange. The man holding the green scepter looked slightly disappointed. By the way, Brother Li, at this time, Li Shui suddenly looked at the young man expectantly and said, "Yesterday you said that you could get a second-order top-quality alien fire and 5-color earth heart fire from a friend. I don't know what happened." The young man's game name is Xiao Li Fishan. Through chatting, Li Shui knew that Chen Ronghuo needed a lot of strange fire. She felt that Chen Ronghuo had helped her too much, and she also wanted do something to help Chen Ronghuo. So yesterday, after she heard Xiao Li Fishan say that she had a friend who got a 5-color earth core fire that she didn't need, she proposed that if she could get the fire, she would exchange it for a flying secret treasure. After saying this, she spontaneously took out a pair of pure blue wings that were more than 1 meter long from a small bag in her hand. These wings are bluebird wings, a top-grade flying secret treasure with wind attributes. However, even if you are not a wind warlock or a wind attribute warrior, you can still use this treasure to fly. Moreover, most second-level cultivators cannot fly, so second-level flying secret treasures have always been the most precious among all second-level treasures. This secret treasure of hers is worth more than many top secret treasures. Li Shui also loves this treasure very much. Xiao Li Fishan's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw the cyan wings in Li Shui's hand. He is the wind warlock, and this wing will only be considered an insult if it falls into his hands. Especially after getting this treasure, he can really fly into the sky. In exchange. Thinking of this, Xiao Li Fishan immediately spoke. At the same time, he took out a white narrow-mouth bottle containing a wisp of 5-color fire from his pocket. Li Suijing's eyes suddenly lit up when she saw the 5-color flames in the narrow-mouthed bottle that Xiao Li Fishan took out. The exchange was quickly completed. Holding the bluebird wings in his hand, Xiao Li Fishan was very excited and wanted to go back to refine it immediately. At the same time, he looked at Li Shui with a hint of strangeness. A misunderstanding arose in my heart, wondering if Li Shui had brought this bluebird wing specifically to give it to him. After all, Li Shui is not a pyromancer, nor is he a fire attribute warrior. What is the use of 5-color flames? But this bluebird wing is different. Even if Li Shui is not a wind attribute warlock, he can still use this thing. As for why Li Shui was dressed like this today and said she wanted to meet friends later, he spontaneously ignored her. At this time, the enchanting woman wearing red leather armor suddenly asked, "Xiao Bai, you are not a pyromancer, what do you want with these 5 colors of earth core fire?" Li Shui hesitated for a moment and then said, "Give it away." Several people in the team were stunned. Li Shui actually wanted to give away the second-level top-grade alien fire obtained in exchange for a flying secret treasure that allowed second-level players to fly. Although this thing is not theirs, they still feel distressed. However, the woman in red leather armor seemed to have expected it before Li Shui answered. Her game is called Wake Up as a Lover. Looking at Li Shui, she asked again, "Is this the friend who is coming to see you today?" Li Shui nodded. Male. Waking up from a dream is the slightest hint of the lover's last voice. Li Shui's face was slightly red, but she nodded slightly. When she was in junior high school, she was average looking and had never been chased by anyone. But since high school, she has become more and more beautiful, and more people are chasing her. Everything she expressed clearly was sternly and completely rejected by her. But she can feel some of her secret crushes, but she doesn't know how to express them. Naturally, she can't run up to them and say that she can't like you. For this kind of people, she usually chooses not to interact with them as much as possible. Therefore, when Meng Xing woke up, her lover asked her this. Although she felt shy, she still said in front of everyone that she wanted to give the 5-color earth heart fire to a man. In this way, some people can be cut off from their thoughts. When Xiao Li Feishan heard Li Shui's answer, his face suddenly fell. I know that I just acted on my own. Since it is your boyfriend who is coming, why not ask him to join us later? It will be faster if we all fight monsters together. Meng Xing's lover smiled. Of course, the premise is that you don't dislike us light bulbs. Still not. Li Shui shook her head hastily. She finally had the opportunity to meet Chen Ronghuo, how could she be willing to give some of her time to others? However, she felt that her rejection was a little too straightforward and not very good, so she added, he is not my boyfriend yet. When I succeed, I will definitely introduce you to him. At this moment, even Meng Xing and his lover were stunned. They never thought that Li Shui was actually chasing someone else. The lover who woke up from the dream nodded and smiled. Okay, then I want to take a good look at what kind of man can attract our little white guy. Fiery Mountains. After Chen Ronghuo logged into the game, he appeared directly here. He looked at the surrounding environment, and with a thought, he used the white jade shuttle ruler and arrived at Ice Flame City in a moment. In fact, with the ancient book, he could appear directly in front of Xiao Li Shui. However, this is not necessary. Chen Ronghuo used the photo function of the forum to take a selfie in front of a landmark building in Binjian City, and then sent it to Li Shui. At the same time, he added a sentence. Xiao Li Shui, since you have completed all the tasks diligently, your wise teacher Xiao Chen specially came to see you with a gift. After a while, the news reached Li Shui. When Li Shui opened the message, her beautiful eyes suddenly turned bright. She was so amused by Chen Ronghuo that she temporarily forgot her nervousness. Wise and powerful Mr. Chen, please wait a moment. Your classmate Xiao Li will come to find you right away. Li Shui put on an expectant expression, quickly sent the message, and immediately said goodbye to Meng Xing's lovers and hurried on. Went to Chen Ronghuo's location. Seeing Li Sui leaving like a magpie returning to the forest, the lover smiled helplessly when he woke up from the dream. Although she has not known Li Shui for a long time, she has a very good impression of Li Shui. So she was very worried that Li Shui had been cheated. After all, it was a second-level top-grade fire. With the current strength of the players, such a treasure is absolutely priceless. It was just a brief exchange of words, but she couldn't say anything after all. We can only pray that Li Shui will not be unkind to others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chao Ji Dupang. Chapter 568. How can a big man with super strength and who has lived for countless years start a passionate love like an ordinary person? Chen Ronghuo stood under a large ice sculpture in the southern part of Benjian City and really felt that he was old. He was very comfortable chatting with Li Shui online. When he saw Li Shui send a message, he would sometimes smile knowingly. He also liked to tease her when he had nothing to do. But at this moment, when the two were about to meet, he found that he was not too excited. As for the first date between a boy and his goddess, most of them would have a faster heartbeat, but he didn't see it at all. Chen Ronghuo sighed. Being strong is not without a price. Some people will turn green, some will turn bald, and some people must first. The big river crab becomes stronger by sacrificing its friends, the devil mermaid becomes stronger by wearing women's clothes all the time, and the fat cat becomes stronger by losing its gender. After returning, Chen Ronghuo has been trying to get back to a normal life, eating 3 meals a day, respecting his parents, caring for his sister, and finding a girlfriend like an ordinary person. But at this moment, he stood under the ice sculpture of the frost giant in Benjian City, and just realized that no matter how hard he tried, he could only make himself look ordinary. Just like the frog toys that jumped after twisting the strength that he loved when he was a child, now there are groups in front of him, and he has no interest in playing with them. The good thing is that although he is not excited about meeting Li Shui, he is looking forward to it. It seems he can still save it. Chen Ronghuo looked up at the sky and smiled helplessly. Then he began to use ancient books to deduce where near Benjian City is suitable for him to level up. He and Li Shui can't just keep talking awkwardly, right? For the aspiring young people of the new era, killing monsters and leveling up is a serious career. Now, people in the circle of friends are all showing how many monsters so and so killed today and what equipment they got. If someone gets a boss, they will become the envy of everyone. A woman in a white dress in the snow appeared in Chen Ronghuo's eyes. Chen Ronghuo just took a look and retracted his gaze. This woman is not Li Shui. Although this woman has a delicate face and a cold temperament all over her body, attracting countless eyes along the way, for Chen Ronghuo, who has been single for thousands of years and has long cultivated a diamond heart, it is just like that. He has long been out of the low-level taste of simply judging people by appearance. The woman who can make him like can only be pleasing to the eye and make him feel good. As for this cold woman who walked past him, although she is beautiful, she feels like a piece of ice. What's the point? Chen Ronghuo turned his head and looked to one side, not looking away. What happened just now? After Chen Ronghuo retracted his gaze, the cold woman paused and pretended to be calm and continued to walk forward. For some reason, she suddenly felt a throbbing in her heart. It was as if she was being stared at by a terrifying thing. As a former god, she was very inspired. She was sure that this kind of gaze was not from a cultivator of the 3rd or 4th level, or even the 7th or 8th level. It was probably a terrifying existence that was even more powerful than her in the past. But, how could there be such an existence now? Sooner or later, I will turn the whole world into my frost kingdom. The white-clothed woman's eyes were extremely cold, but she was looking at the ice and flame mountains in the distance, but she was looking forward to it. When the gods were developing this game, each of them left a backhand for themselves. She was no exception. The backhand she left for herself was deep in the ice and flame mountains. That was a ray of her former power. And the life-defining divine weapon she left for herself. She walked forward with a determined look. The sooner she got the power she left behind, the sooner she could stand out in this game. As an ancient god who could once fight with a half-step pillar god, and a leader among the peak gods, she had a deep ambition. Chen Ronghuo had no idea that he had just passed by a former ancient god, Xuanhuan, who was now ranked 15th on the player level ranking list. If he knew, he would definitely follow him quietly. Find an opportunity to force her to kill her. He didn't like these gods. Excuse me, Are you waiting for someone? A pleasant voice suddenly sounded from behind Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo turned his head and saw Li Shui, who was also wearing a white dress, standing behind him. Unlike the coldness of the woman just now, Li Shui exuded a lively and lovely aura all over her body. Her cheeks were slightly red, and she looked at Chen Ronghuo with a smile, as if even the coldness of Binjian City was diluted by her smile. In fact, she had been standing far away for a while after seeing Chen Ronghuo. She began to imagine covering Chen Ronghuo's eyes like the girls in the TV series and asking him to guess who she was, but she thought that might be too intimate. But if she walked directly in front of Chen Ronghuo, she was afraid that she would be too nervous and perform poorly. So she finally chose a middle way. Yet Chen Ronghuo nodded and said expressionlessly, "I'm a teacher, waiting for a lost child." Puff. Li Shui was amused, smiling like a flower. But soon she realized her own loss of composure and hurriedly tried to stop laughing. Chen Ronghuo waved his hand aside, "No, no, don't stop. Little Li Shui, you are already a mature girl, you should learn to laugh more." Chen Ronghuo deliberately teased Li Shui, hoping that she would not be too nervous. But he did not realize that his words seemed to be ambiguous. Fortunately, Li Shui did not notice it either. She laughed continuously. The tension disappeared completely. In a trance, it seemed that she had returned to the relaxed and happy time when chatting with Chen Ronghuo online. "That's right, I won't eat you." Chen Ronghuo laughed. Li Shui also completely relaxed. She took out the white narrow-necked bottle containing the 5-color earth core fire hidden behind her, bowed slightly to Chen Ronghuo, held it in both hands and handed it to him, saying, "Mr. Chen, thank you for your hard work these days. This is a small gift prepared by the student for you. It is not a respect, please accept it." 5-color earth core fire. Chen Ronghuo was a little surprised. This thing was indeed useful to him. "Not bad, very thoughtful," he smiled, and then took the bottle and put it away, saying, "I also prepared a gift for you, take a look." As he said, he moved his mind and took out the snow-white exquisite wings that exploded when he killed the mutant flame-cold horse last time from the storage ring. This treasure was originally a second-level upper-grade ice attribute flying secret treasure. But after it came into his hands, he had re-refined it and changed it into a second-level top-grade flying secret treasure. Li Shui looked at the exquisite wings that Chen Ronghuo took out, and she couldn't take her eyes away. She never thought that she had just exchanged a flying secret treasure, and turned around and got another one back. Moreover, this secret treasure not only looks more exquisite and gorgeous, but it is also the most suitable ice-attributed secret treasure for her use. "How is it, do you like it?" Chen Ronghuo asked with a smile. "Yes." Li Shui nodded, took the huge snow-white wing with a wingspan of more than 2 meters and exquisite patterns, and was reluctant to let go. "Refine it if you like it. It is specially refined for you and can be refined in a few minutes." Chen Ronghuo pointed to an inconspicuous corner of the wing. Li Shui looked along his finger and saw a few lines of small words engraved there. Student Li Shui performed well in the 2-month training. This wing is specially issued to encourage her. October 10, 2030, Teacher Chen. Seeing these small words that are completely integrated with the wings, Li Shui suddenly opened her eyes wide, showing an expression of disbelief and surprise. Life is made up of impressive pictures. At this moment, Li Shui felt that if she could be with Chen Ronghuo in the future, and even have a child, when she was old, she would definitely recall today and every word on the wings. If the wings could be kept until that day, she could take them out and touch the words on them. "Hey! Hey!" Chen Ronghuo stretched out his hand in front of Li Shui's eyes and shook it. It brought her back to her senses. "Thank you." Li Shui tugged at the edge of her dress, thinking of her wild thoughts just now. Her pretty face flushed, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito. "What am I thinking about? She was very distressed. She felt that her performance today was too bad. It was completely different from the dozens of times she practiced in front of the mirror before meeting Chen Ronghuo. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 569. The wind was cold, and Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui, who was wearing a white dress, walked on the road leading to the depths of the Binjian Mountains. This was a strange passage that Chen Ronghuo had calculated using ancient books. The level of the Binjian Mountains was not too high, but there were still many 4th level and even 5th level demonic life in the depths. However, as long as you walk along this winding road with few traces, you can reach the depths of the Binjian Mountains without being attacked by any demonic life. According to Chen Ronghuo's calculations, at the end of this passage, there was a feng shui treasure land suitable for his current strength to level up. Of course, it also had a beautiful environment. After the initial restraint, Li Shui finally regained her liveliness online. She walked beside Chen Ronghuo, wearing an elegant white dress, and sometimes put down her bag and laughed and jumped, like a beautiful angel, pleasing to the eye. There was sporadic fine snow in the mountains, which was a perfect match, rendering Li Shui even more moving. However, as he walked, Chen Ronghuo's eyes moved, and he found a very shallow footprint on the seemingly ordinary snow on the ground. The footprints were actually covered by the falling snow. Ordinary players would not notice them at all. Only Chen Ronghuo's eyesight could detect them. Interesting. Chen Ronghuo looked a little strange. This extremely shallow footprint was obviously intentional. He did not know who did this, but this person aroused his curiosity. Especially when he used the power of the ancient book to deduce, but found that the energy consumed to deduce this matter was far beyond his current ability, he became even more curious. It seems that something interesting may happen on this date. Chen Ronghuo smiled. The ancient book today is different from the past. The original ancient book sealed 9 kinds of treasures, but the current ancient book sealed his spiritual pets. Spiritual pets are living things, while the previous treasures were mostly unconscious dead things. Like the blood of the immortal demon, it is just a few drops of blood from a 14th level strongman. Among Chen Ronghuo's pets, the big river crab and the fat cat are complete, equivalent to the 14th level strongman of the half-step pillar god level. The two are simply incomparable. So these pets and the ancient book together form an ability that does not exist on the attribute panel, which only he can sense, and is not an ability, early warning. As long as something threatening Chen Ronghuo is about to happen, the ancient book will warn him. But since Chen Ronghuo returned to Earth, the ancient book has never warned him once. This time is no exception. Therefore, Chen Ronghuo feels that he is still qualified to be curious about the unknown footprints on the snow. The snow peaks are abrupt, rising from the ground, connected into a piece, and actually formed a large circular area in the center of the Binjian Mountains. This area is extremely special. In the entire area, there is only one kind of monster, the frost giant. This monster has a trace of the blood of the ancient frost giant. As far as Chen Ronghuo knows, the ancient frost giant is an ancient evil creature with a level of 11. At the same time, this race is also the guard of a powerful god. The frost giants living in this circular area are not of high level, and the highest is only level 3. But for some reason, the more powerful demonized life around them did not invade this feng shui treasure land. At the same time, Chen Ronghuo also knew through identification that these frost giants have another special point, that is, they can quickly become stronger as time goes by. All these things made Chen Ronghuo think. This is a game. As the last designer of the game, he left himself many backhands. As the gods who were the first designers of the game, would they do nothing for the sake of fairness? This is obviously impossible. However, the backhands he left for himself were simple and crude, but because of the many contradictions among the gods, in order to prevent being destroyed by others, Each backhand left for himself was extremely hidden. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Arrows condensed by ice and snow shot out from the bow in Li Shue's hand. Li Shue stood on a 20-meter-high snow platform that she had built with the Snow God Warlock's method, and actually shot those arrows 1,000 meters away. All the frost giants within 1,000 meters were covered by her arrows. Chen Ronghuo stood not far away and nodded silently. Different professions have different advantages. The attack range of the archer profession is incomparable to any other profession in the early stage. Although he has practiced multiple professions, he still cannot cover the attack range of 1,000 meters. Even the sword-controlling magician profession is limited by his soul power in the early stage. Even though his soul power is far superior to others, he can only control the chaos flying sword to more than 100 meters at most. Roar, roar, roar. The frost giants, provoked by Li Shue, immediately ran towards her. Li Shue was terrified. Since joining this game, she has had a lot of experiences. But seeing so many frost giants of higher levels than her running towards her madly, she couldn't help but feel fear. Sword. Suddenly, just as a frost giant rushed over, Li Shue glanced and saw Chen Ronghuo's lips move slightly, and he raised his hand and swung out a flying sword. In just a flash, he killed the frost giant on the spot at an astonishing speed. This sword was sharp and swift, beyond Li Shue's imagination. However, she was still nervous. Because at this time, more frost giants were rushing over. Frost giants are semi-elemental life forms and do not need food. So there is no telling how many such monsters there are in the entire circular area. Even within a kilometer radius of her, there are dozens of them. Her face showed an anxious look, and her hands almost turned into phantoms. In a short period of time, she shot countless arrows, hoping to share some pressure for Chen Ronghuo. Get up! But at this moment, as Chen Ronghuo's mind moved again, the chaos flying sword he had just swung out actually split into dozens of sword lights in an instant. These sword lights were connected and intertwined with each other, and in the blink of an eye, a snow-white formation was laid. This formation radiated bright light. Under the light, the frost giants who rushed into the formation one by one, all let out a scream, and the sound stopped abruptly. The art of sword formation. Most players in this game have to learn skills from the game. But there is a type of player that is different. Chen Ronghuo belongs to this different type. Even if it is a martial arts secret technique that he has never come into contact with, as long as it is reasonable and he wants to, he can create it. 10 seconds later, the sword light faded, and Chen Ronghuo took back the chaos flying sword. The white snow was already stained with blood. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 570. I never expected that Xiaobai's bluebird wings could trigger hidden missions. Waking up from a dream is an inconceivable way for a lover. After Li Shue left, she, Xiao Li Feishan, and another member of the team went all the way south, and unexpectedly received an incredible hidden secret using the top-grade flying secret bluebird wing that Li Shue obtained from the copy space task. And their situation at this time is even more strange. When they left Binjian City and went to the Binjian Mountains to fight monsters and upgrade, they were actually thrown onto the back of a huge bluebird that claimed to assist them in completing their mission, and flew all the way deep into the Binjian Mountains. Even after standing on the bluebird's back for a long time, they still had incredible expressions on their faces. I guess Xiaobai herself doesn't know that her bluebird wings have such a secret. Xiao Li Feishan's expression looked a bit strange. If she knew, she would definitely not trade this treasure with me for 5 colors. The heart of the earth is on fire. Of course, all the way to the south also smiled. If Xiaobai finds out about this in the future, he will definitely regret it. Not only will he regret trading bluebird wings with you for the strange fire, but he will also regret going out on a date today. Meng Xing, who was beside him, was his lover. When he heard the 2 men in the team gloating about their misfortune, He couldn't help but sneer in his heart. I know that the two of them must be a little jealous of Li Shue's date. Hey, look, that looks like Li Shue. Suddenly, just as the three of them rode the bluebird and arrived over a ring-shaped area deep in the Binjian Mountains, Xiao Li Fishan's eyes widened and he stared down, with an incredible expression in his eyes. What caught his eye was a pretty woman standing on the snow platform, wearing a white dress, who was continuously shooting at the frost giants in all directions. This woman is none other than Li Shue. Then they turned their eyes and soon saw Chen Ronghuo not far away from Li Shue. What are they doing, attracting so many monsters all at once? Are they dying? Although Xiao Li Fishan and Yi Xiangnan were a little gloating when talking about Li Shue before, but when they saw Li Shue and Chen Ronghuo fooling around, regardless of their own strength, and attracting so many monsters at once, they still couldn't help but worry about their safety. However, regardless of whether their strength can help, just saying that they are high in the sky at this time, even if they want to help, they are unable to do anything. This is impossible. But suddenly, when dozens of frost giants surrounded Chen Ronghuo and Li Shue, everyone saw a sword light emitting from Chen Ronghuo's hand, changing in the void, and actually evolved into a powerful sword formation. In just a dozen breaths, dozens of frost giants were strangled inside, leaving no one behind. This scene is so terrifying. It was so scary that when I woke up from the dream, it was my lover, Xiao Li Fishan, and the other three people heading south. I almost thought I was in a dream. Is this kind of strength really something that players at this stage can possess? It's incredible. They all want to know, who is Li Shue's date? Do you think that person is an NPC? Because the distance was too far, Xiao Li Fishan could recognize Li Shue, but he could not see Chen Ronghuo's specific appearance. Therefore, he suddenly wondered whether the person with Li Shue might be an NPC. Li Shue didn't go on a date at all, but came here to complete a certain task. Otherwise, how could there be such a strong person among the players? However, just as they were thinking this, they suddenly saw the man below holding Li Shue's hand after she stepped off the snow platform. But Li Shue did not resist. In an instant, Xiao Li Fishan and Lu Xiangnan no longer had any luck in their hearts. Only, who is he? Both of them desperately hope to know who that person is. How's it going? Were you scared just now? Chen Ronghuo held Li Shue's delicate and boneless hand and asked with a smile. Li Shue blushed and nodded unconsciously. She had been looking forward to the moment when Chen Ronghuo held her hand for a long time, but she didn't expect that this moment would come so suddenly without any warning. At this moment, her heart was focused on the hand that was suddenly held by Chen Ronghuo. At the same time, as if she was worried that the scene was just an illusion, she carefully glanced at Chen Ronghuo with her peripheral vision, and then made up her mind to intertwine her 5 fingers with Chen Ronghuo's. "Don't be afraid, I won't abandon you," Chen Ronghuo said with a pun. At the same time, his hands tightened slightly. He didn't want to make any more excuses and continue to drag this matter out. Li Shue's heartbeat suddenly accelerated, like a deer's. Dozens of frost giants died, and Li Shue gained a lot of experience points and was directly upgraded from level 22 to level 23. Although she has 2 special professions, the experience required for each upgrade of these 2 professions is much less than Chen Ronghuo's 4 main professions. This time, most of the frost giants were killed by Chen Ronghuo, but Li Shue also contributed a lot, so she also received a lot of experience points. But compared to the improvement in level, she was more shocked by Chen Ronghuo's performance just now. Such strength simply exceeded her imagination. Boom! At this moment, as dozens of frost giants were killed, a deafening roar sounded throughout the ring area. Chen Ronghuo and Li Shue looked up and saw frost spreading in the distance, as if the frost giants in the entire area were running towards here. They carried large pieces of frost, forming an astonishing frost storm. This horrifying scene was almost like the end of the world. Kill them. In the center of the circular area, a refrigerator giant with silver eyes, more than 10 meters tall, looked at Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui from a distance and gave cold orders. There are countless monsters in this world, but this huge frost giant is not too eye-catching. But what is eye-catching is that on its shoulder, there is a woman in a white dress sitting. This woman is the cold-tempered woman that Chen Ronghuo saw under the statue of the frost giant in Benjian City. That is, the former frost goddess. She sat on the shoulder of the frost giant king and looked at Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui with a cold look. She didn't care about Li Shui. But the strength that Chen Ronghuo showed just now shocked her. Even if she is now, it is difficult to kill so many frost giants instantly if she is not prepared. But she couldn't think of which of the gods had such a superb sword formation technique. Is it coming for me? She turned her head with a thought, and saw a cold vortex suddenly appeared in the center of the circular area on the ground not far away. She took a deep breath, and the frost goddess moved and fell into the vortex. As the frost goddess disappeared into the vortex also disappeared. It looked as if there was nothing unusual. Only the snowflakes nearby looked a little more crystal and bigger than other places. But it only took a moment to return to normal. Roar! After the frost goddess disappeared, the frost giant king who stayed in place roared at the distance, and ran straight towards Chen Ronghuo. Apart from the frost goddess, anyone else who invaded this place was the mortal enemy of their clan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 571. The giants, all over 3 meters tall, with explosive muscles but condensed with frost on their bodies, seemed to respond to the call of the god of war and rushed towards Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui. The earth trembled, as if the entire circular area was shaking. Accompanied by countless frost giants running, bringing up terrifying frost tornadoes. Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui stood at the edge of the circular area, watching the scene from afar, as if watching the end of the world and a huge natural disaster. This shocking and terrifying scene made Li Shui's face pale. Although she had seen a lot in the past 2 months, she could not compare with Chen Ronghuo, and she did not have Chen Ronghuo's confidence. Only the warmth transmitted from her hands intertwined with Chen Ronghuo could make her feel a little relieved. Chen, should we leave here? No need. Chen Ronghuo shook his head. This is a rare treasure land for leveling up. He was right. His current level is 28. If it were the previous world of gods, it would be close to the peak of the late second stage. Before he started practicing again, at this level, he could kill a third-level cultivator without fear or even above his level. Now that he is practicing again, he can only become stronger. In fact, if it were not for the rules of the new world, there would be extra experience points for killing wild monsters above their level at this stage, but the experience points rewarded by killing wild monsters above their level by a large margin would not be proportional to the effort, and he would have been fighting high-level bosses every day. But it won't take long. According to some of the situations that Chen Ronghuo discovered when he left a loophole in the game of gods, soon there will be countless low and medium level ability players in the universe where the Earth Star is located, joining this game. At that time, not only will the experience points gained by killing each other between players be more, but some restrictions in the game will also be lifted. For example, the experience points gained by killing high-level wild monsters above their level will be greatly increased. Let's do it. Thinking of this in his heart, Chen Ronghuo saw a large group of frost giants getting closer and closer, and he let go of Li Shui's hand and said, "Try to cause damage to all frost giants approaching us, so that you can get more experience points." The total experience points gained by forming a team are much more than those gained by a single person. But how much more it can be depends on the performance of each of the two people. Feeling Chen Ronghuo's calmness, Li Shui also calmed down. She began to play her role, opened her bow and arrow, her hands turned into shadows, and shot at the frost giants that were rushing towards her. Although her strength was relatively good, her level was too low. If she was asked to deal with a frost giant with all her strength, there would be no problem, but she could only deal with a large group of frost giants at the same time, and these frost giants could hardly pose any threat. Li Shui's heart sank. I can only hope that Chen Ronghuo will not fall over. Hiss. Seeing the frost giant rushing, Chen Ronghuo moved his mind, raised his hand, and the chaos flying sword that he had just taken back flew out again. Yin yin yin. A large piece of sword light split out. But it was different from the pure white sword light before. The sword light he split out this time was divided into 5 colors: yellow, green, red, gold, and black. The 5 colors of sword light intertwined in the void, forming a formation that actually formed a small 5-element sword formation rotating in the void. Once the sword formation was formed, its power doubled. This is the powerful strength that can be exerted by the fusion of the 3 major professions of Chaos Warlock, Sword Master, and Formation Master. Roar. Groups of frost giants rushed over, and before they arrived, they could sense the biting cold. However, as soon as these coldness came, they were sucked into the vortex formed by the small 5-element sword formation. Then Chen Ronghuo did not retreat but advanced, pulling Li Shui and rushing straight to the group of frost giants. Puff puff puff. Blood spilled, and the ground covered with ice and snow was bright red. None of the second-level frost giants could stop Chen Ronghuo's sword formation technique. A special feature of this circular area is that no other demonized life will come. It is precisely because of this that Chen Ronghuo dared to kill here at this stage. Otherwise, his behavior would easily attract the attention of high-level demonized life. Otherwise, he would have found a suitable place to quickly upgrade. But what Chen Ronghuo didn't know was that his killing was not only seen by Chen Ronghuo, but also by 3 other people, namely Li Shui's former teammates. The 3 people standing on the back of the giant bluebird were getting farther and farther away from Chen Ronghuo, and looking down from the sky, they could only see the frost storm that connected the sky and the ground, and Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui, who were like 2 fists in size, surrounded by a group of frost giants in the storm. In this situation, they all thought that Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui were dead. But as a 5-color sword light rose, they saw that the larger black shadows representing the frost giants fell to the ground one after another. There were no telling how many frost giants there were in the circular area. But no matter what level of frost giants, they would fall to the ground when they rushed into the 5-color sword formation. This battlefield has completely become a place of slaughter. It's amazing, but I don't know if they can finally escape from here. Because Meng Xing is a lover, Xiao Li Feishan, and Yi Lu Xiangnan are going away quickly, so they don't know what the ending of Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui will be. But they know that human power is sometimes limited. So they looked at the huge frost giants below, who were driving a large frost storm, and the number of them was unknown. Then they looked at Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui, who were thin, and they didn't believe that the 2 could hold on to the end. I hope they will be fine. The 3 were carried by the huge bluebird and quickly went away. There was no trace of Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui in sight. Puff puff puff. Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui went all the way. On the way, I don't know how many frost giants died at the hands of Chen Ronghuo. Even though there were many frost giants here, they gradually became scarce under Chen Ronghuo's slaughter. Frost origin add 1. Because he had some guesses about this place, Chen Ronghuo would capture each frost giant he killed and try to touch the corpse. In the distance, a frost giant king more than 10 meters tall rushed over at a high speed. But after seeing Chen Ronghuo's killing spree, it paused and did not move forward immediately, as if it was preparing to let ordinary frost giants consume Chen Ronghuo's physical strength first. 100, 90, 80. The remaining frost giants are getting fewer and fewer. Li Shui followed Chen Ronghuo, shooting arrows numbly, but even though she played a small role, she was upgraded by 2 levels again. In a short period of time, she was upgraded from level 23 to level 25. If other players knew about it, they would all go crazy. Of course, Chen Ronghuo, as the main output, reached level 29. Puff. Suddenly, just when the Frost Giant King was about to find an opportunity to attack Chen Ronghuo suddenly had a thought, controlled the sword formation, turned into a giant sword, and killed the Frost Giant King in the air. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 572. The 5-color giant sword condensed by the small 5-element sword formation, under the urging of Chen Ronghuo, seemed to roll back the galaxy, with a rolling whistling sound, and instantly penetrated the void. Seeing that Chen Ronghuo was too strong, the Frost Giant King, who was going to consume more of his strength before taking action, pierced his chest and killed him on the spot. Li Shui, who was standing aside, was stunned when she saw that he had killed the 3rd-level Frost Giant King with one blow, even though she had already seen Chen Ronghuo's strength. High-level professions can leverage and use more powerful rule power. The abilities of several powerful professions are used together, plus a solid foundation. It is not difficult to challenge higher levels. Chen Ronghuo said to Li Shui standing aside, "I will give you some things to strengthen your foundation later. When you reach the peak of the 2nd level, you will definitely be able to kill ordinary 3rd-level wild monsters at higher levels." This Frost Giant King is not an ordinary 3rd-level wild monster, right? Li Shui asked. She had a hunch that even if she cultivated to the 3rd level, she would not be able to kill so many frost giants in a short time like Chen Ronghuo now. Not to mention the Frost Giant King, who was more than 10 meters tall. Yet Chen Ronghuo nodded, "But this score depends on who. Everyone's fate is different. My fate is special. In my eyes, all wild monsters are ordinary wild monsters. You don't have to compare with me." While speaking, Chen Ronghuo controlled the returning Chaos Flying Sword to flash repeatedly, and killed all the remaining frost giants on the spot. Since then, the entire circular area has been empty. So many frost giants died, and a large number of gold, silver, and copper coins exploded in the field, but not many treasures exploded. At the same time, Chen Ronghuo also found that the experience points he gained from killing frost giants were less than those from killing wild monsters of the same level. This is obviously a self-protection mechanism here. If it were someone else, if they found this situation, they would probably have left here and gone to look for wild monsters elsewhere. Chen Ronghuo reached out and collected the scattered treasures and gold coins on the ground. He also took the bodies of the frost giants and tried to get more frost origin power attributes from them. The frost origin power from the frost giants carries the breath of the former frost goddess. Whether he can get more this time depends on this. Let's go. After everything was done, Chen Ronghuo immediately took Li Shui to the center of the circular area. He stared at the area that had formed a vortex before but was now blank, with a deep look. "Is there a problem here?" Li Shui took Chen Ronghuo's hand and asked in a low voice. Meeting for the first time after many years, Chen Ronghuo made her feel very strange. Only Chen Ronghuo also pulled her hand hard, so that she still kept the warmth in her heart. "There is a problem, but it's a good thing. Our luck has come. If I'm not mistaken, this should be a copy space, but to enter, some special conditions are required." Chen Ronghuo's eyes flashed. "Wait, listen to me, I'll take you down to have a look." "Yeah." Li Shui suppressed the doubts in her heart, and wisely didn't ask more questions at this time, and nodded obediently to avoid disturbing Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo took out a pill that he had refined before, which could restore the ice attribute aura. He had refined a large number of pills before to improve the level of alchemy. He basically had all kinds of pills in his hands. He integrated some of the original power of frost into the pill, and then handed it to Li Shui and said, "This is a pill that can change your physique, you eat this first." Li Shui looked at the crystal clear snow-white pill handed by Chen Ronghuo, bit her pearly teeth lightly, took the pill, opened her red lips slightly, and put it in her mouth. The pill melted in her mouth, turned into a burst of coolness, and merged into Li Shui's body. Li Shui's eyes were hazy for a moment. This feeling was like a bath, addictive. You took the Origin Frost pill, your physique has changed, your affinity with the Frost law has increased, and your resistance to Frost-related secrets has increased. The voice of the guiding elf sounded in Li Shui's ears one after another. Chen Ronghuo saw that Li Shui's eyes were hazy, and his mind moved. He controlled his left hand and took out some of the remaining Frost Origin power attributes and integrated them into his body. However, the Frost Origin power attributes did not change him much. When he changed his job to a Chaos Warlock, he already had a Chaos body. The Chaos body contains almost everything, and can even reverse everything. It is also the most important foundation for his recultivation this time. The integration of these Frost Origin power attributes can only increase his perception of the Frost power contained in Chaos Flying, making it easier to reverse the Frost power with Chaos power. To put it in a more understandable way, it can reduce the experience points he needs to upgrade his Chaos Warlock level in the future. Turn. After doing this, Chen Ronghuo formed a seal with his hands, turning the power of Chaos into pure Frost power, and turned it into a silver moon with strange patterns in his hands, shining on the area in front of him. Crack. Strange patterns also appeared on the ground. Chen Ronghuo consumed the power accumulated in the ancient book during this period, and made full efforts to deduce, adjust the hand seal, and turn it into the corresponding pattern. After a moment, a deep vortex suddenly cracked on the originally blank ground. The vortex formed, and Chen Ronghuo did not hesitate, and jumped into the vortex with Li Shui. Wave. As if she had passed through a membrane, her body felt slightly cold, and Li Shui found that she and Chen Ronghuo had changed their environment. This was a silver-white space of more than 100 square meters. Above the space, two objects were suspended. One was a silver crystal like a star, and the other was a gaseous object emitting a cold light. At the same time, there was a woman standing in the space, wearing a white dress like her. At this time, the woman was pinching her fingers to control the gaseous object, constantly changing its shape. And the silver crystal like a star was shedding light, falling on the woman, making the woman look as if she was wearing a layer of gauze, like a fairy or a god. Li Shui didn't expect that there would be someone in this place. At the same time, she thought she was beautiful, but compared with this woman, she felt ashamed of herself. Or temperament, or something else. Who are you? Seeing Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui actually enter here, the former ice goddess pupil suddenly shrank, and a silver-white cold light shot out from her eyes, like ice. Here she carefully left a backup plan for herself, and no one except herself knew it. In this situation, the appearance of Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui, even with her state of mind, gave rise to a trace of fear. Hiss. Chen Ronghuo directly swung out the chaos flying sword, splitting dozens of sword lights and setting up a sword formation, giving the former ice goddess no chance to delay time. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 573. Screeching. The sound of swords chirping continued. When applied externally, it was a pleasant ringing sound. When applied internally, it was a chaotic sound of gods and demons. Yuning Bing, level 26 player, former frost goddess. Divine Power Crystal, a crystal condensed from a strand of divine power, absorbing it can increase experience points. 3000 ice silks, the material of the divine weapon prepared by the former frost goddess for herself. When Chen Ronghuo saw the woman in the white dress for the first time, he identified her attributes and the attributes of the two strange objects in the space. Then, without any hesitation, he directly set up the sword-killing array and killed Yuningbing. Your teammates attacked the player Yuningbing. A line of information appeared on the record of Li Shui's attribute panel. Yuningbing. Li Shui's expression suddenly changed. Yuningbing ranked 15th in the current player level rankings. With such a ranking, it was impossible for Li Shui not to know. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Seeing Chen Ronghuo attacking Yuningbing, Li Shui gritted her teeth, bent her bow and shot arrows at Yuningbing. She had many doubts in her heart, but this was obviously not the time to ask about them. Kakaka. 3 meters away from Yuningbing, a large piece of white ice rose rapidly. The arrows shot by Li Shui were immediately blocked by Yuningbing. But the sword formation set up by Chen Ronghuo stirred up the sound of swords, turned into countless sword lights, and surrounded Yuningbing. Be careful, she is Yuningbing. In this gap, Li Shui had time to remind. I know. Chen Ronghuo nodded. If she is not Yuningbing, I may not take action. For other players, such a strong woman is not easy to deal with. But for Chen Ronghuo, Yuningbing is just a more precious prey to him. Under the cover of the sword formation, Yuningbing's connection with the 3000 eye silks and the divine power crystal was directly cut off by Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo doesn't need these two items, the 3000 ice silks. But the divine power crystal is a rare item for him. Although according to the rules, even if the frost goddess leaves a backhand for herself, she can't greatly improve her level in a short period of time, but if she can improve a little, it's a little, right? Swish. After isolating the connection between the two items and Yuningbing, Chen Ronghuo stretched out his hand and grabbed the divine power crystal and the 3000 eye silks in the air. This thing is good, just suitable for refining your lifelong divine weapon. Chen Ronghuo pushed the 3000 eye silks into Li Shui's hand. Take it first, drop a drop of blood later, and give it to me after warming it for half a month. This thing is not needed by his parents and sister, but it is just right for Li Shui to practice the law of snow. After all, ice and snow are one. Li Shui was stunned. Only then did she realize that Chen Ronghuo didn't seem to take Yuningbing, who ranked 15th on the level ranking list, seriously. And Chen Ronghuo's words just now proved this point even more. As if seeing Li Shui's thoughts, Chen Ronghuo said, "Do you still remember the gods that appeared in the game theme screen when you first joined the game? Yuningbing is the frost goddess among the gods in the past." Hearing Chen Ronghuo's words, Li Shui was immediately confused. She thought that Yuningbing's identity as the 15th in the ranking list was already terrifying, but she didn't expect that Yuningbing had an even more terrifying background. Chen Ronghuo continued, "Not only Yuningbing, as you know, most of the players on the ranking list are like this." Li Shui was even more dumbfounded. However, she watched Chen Ronghuo talking and laughing while trapping Yuningbing with the sword formation. Yuningbing struggled with all her strength, but she couldn't break free. She really couldn't find the appearance of the gods in Yuningbing. Seeing Li Shui's look, Chen Ronghuo hesitated and said, "I told you before that I am very strong. On the ranking list, only the gods kneel down and the almighty old monster can compete with me. Others are not worth worrying about. Whether it is Yuningbing or others, it is the same." "How do I know that what you said was true?" Li Shui didn't know what to say. When chatting before, Chen Ronghuo did say so. But Li Shui completely regarded these words as bragging. In Li Shui's incredible eyes, Chen Ronghuo controlled the sword formation and strangled Yuningbing repeatedly. If you absorb it, you will get the divine power crystal, and the experience value add 100, add 100. At the same time, after the divine power crystal fell into Chen Ronghuo's hands, the experience value in units of 100 began to flow into his body continuously. This divine power crystal had been partially absorbed by Yuningbing before. But Chen Ronghuo came too fast. So there are still many experience points in the divine power crystal that can be absorbed. Chen Ronghuo is very rational. He did not intend to leave this kind of thing that could directly enhance his strength to his parents and other relatives. So he did not share the divine power crystal with Li Shui. Only by gathering many powers in one body and making oneself strong can one reach the end of this game. And protect one's relatives. Level 28. In a rolling mountain range, a bright god wearing pure white clothes, after killing a demonized life with one finger, sensed the change in his level and could not help but open the attribute panel to take a look. Just before he upgraded, the first person on the level ranking list had upgraded from level 28 to level 29. He let out a long breath and continued to walk deeper into the mountains. Level 30. Just as Ming Shen closed the attribute panel, Chen Ronghuo's level on the level ranking list suddenly changed. From level 29 to level 30. And all his professions were upgraded at the same time. But the experience points flowing into Chen Ronghuo's body from the divine power crystal not only did not slow down, but became faster. Ming Shen did not know all this. However, due to the large number of players, when Chen Ronghuo's level changed, it was immediately noticed by countless players. What's going on? I remember that the gods had just upgraded to level 29. How did he upgrade to level 30 so quickly? Not only the gods, you see the almighty old monster, he also upgraded to level 30, and upgraded all 4 secondary professions at the same time. God, I'm still in the novice town, and I haven't reached level 10 yet. We are all players, is the gap so big? I'm better, but I just left the novice town. All the players felt incredible. Even some players from the major forces in the major star fields felt huge pressure. After they left the novice town, many players gathered together to fight monsters together, and the upgrade speed increased a lot, but it was still not comparable to Chen Ronghuo. Level 3, breakthrough to level 3 as soon as possible. Some people, seeing Chen Ronghuo's level soaring, showed a faint expectation. According to some people's speculation, after some players reach level 3, the game of gods will change greatly. At that time, some low and medium level ability players in the original universe may also be able to enter the game. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 574. Click, click, click. Layers of ice slag condensed out with Yuningbing as the center, like white icebergs rising from the ground. The iceberg collided with the sword light, shooting out dazzling light. Under the sword array, Yuningbing's expression became even colder. She has encountered countless enemies in her life, but Chen Ronghuo was the first to completely pin her down. Li Shui was on the side and couldn't help at all. She was even afraid that if she took action, it would be a disservice and damage Chen Ronghuo's sword formation. I have to say that Li Shui is very sensible. And Chen Ronghuo really didn't need her help. While he was controlling the sword formation, surrounding Yuningbing, he was absorbing the power from the divine power crystal. There is a powerful seal in this crystal of divine power, and the power cannot be absorbed all at once. But this time, it was more than enough for him to break through to the 3rd level in one fell swoop. According to the information Chen Ronghuo knows, once someone breaks through to the 3rd level, there will be changes that will be of great benefit to him. The sword light flashes across the sky. The sharp and thin light fell on the iceberg, chipping away at it inch by inch. Yuningbing was in the center of the sword array, feeling Chen Ronghuo's sharp sword intent and the more terrifying power vaguely hidden in Chen Ronghuo's body. Her breath became gradually longer. The killing intent was restrained in her eyes. Rather than disappearing, it seems to be brewing, waiting for the day when it will explode. A flash of bright white seemed to pass through the sword array, imprinting Chen Ronghuo deeply in his eyes. In the sword formation, Yu Ningbing's mind moved, and the layers of ice surrounding her body suddenly collapsed inward, shrinking dozens of times. But the shrinking and collapsing iceberg seemed to be about to collapse into a black hole, exuding an astonishing sense of terror. Suicide, do you want to die with me? Outside the sword formation, Chen Ronghuo raised his head slightly. There was a hint of sneer on his face. Yu Ningbing is also a player. Coupled with her status as a former god, she must have more lives than ordinary players. For her, dying once would probably only affect her upgrade speed in the next period of time. Although the back UPS she had prepared for herself were taken away by Chen Ronghuo, with her ability, there is no chance that she will rise again in the future. But now that Chen Ronghuo has met her, how can he let her get what she wants? With a thought, the originally grey sword formation suddenly had a burst of brilliant light and turned into colorful colors. Just as the colorful colors appeared, another group of colorful colors suddenly appeared in front of Chen Ronghuo. The 7 colors changed and turned into the shape of a butterfly. The butterfly fluttered its wings and sprinkled the colorful light on the colorful sword array, which immediately greatly increased the power of the sword array. The rich multicolored light penetrated into the ice that was about to collapse and explode, and then sealed the moon in the ice inside. Colorful butterfly, it's you, it's you. Yu Ningbing looked through the sword array and saw the phantom of the colorful spirit butterfly in front of Chen Ronghuo. Her originally calm expression suddenly changed, and a hint of paleness appeared on her face. You actually also. Boom. Chen Ronghuo moved his body, breaking through all the obstacles and appeared in front of Yu Ningbing. At the same time, with the blessing of the colorful spiritual butterflies, the colorful sword formation became much more powerful. At this time, it completely sealed all Yu Ningbing's movements. At this moment, he couldn't even commit suicide. Chen Ronghuo stretched out his big hand, and through the colorful light, it landed on the top of Yu Ningbing's frightened and helpless eyes. Physique add 1. Soul add 1. Frost power add 1. Fate add 1. Each attribute was touched out from Yu Ningbing's body by Chen Ronghuo. Killing Yu Ningbing has never been Chen Ronghuo's purpose. Keep touching and finding out all her destiny until she is touched to death. Feeling that her body was getting weaker and weaker, Yu Ningbing, who had seemed unyielding and arrogant before, looked at Chen Ronghuo, with a trace of prayer finally showing in her eyes. Chen Ronghuo sneered, brushing Yu Ningbing's delicate face with his left hand from top to bottom, and then suddenly swung Yu Ningbing into a phantom with a powerful wave. From today on, this former frost goddess has truly become a thing of the past. Boom. At the same time, an icy rain of blood suddenly fell from the sky above the entire world of gods. At the same time, the name of Yu Ningbing, who was ranked 15th on the level ranking list, also disappeared in an instant. Everyone looked up to the sky. But most people didn't know what was going on. Only a small number of people showed solemnity on their faces. The game has just begun, and a former true god has died. And some people knew through induction that the one who died this time was not an ordinary true god. Level 31. After killing Yu Ningbing, Chen Ronghuo made a thought and added the experience points he gained to himself. Supplemented by the experience points gained from the Divine Power Crystal, he had 4 masters, 4 assistants, and 8 professions, and he broke through to level 31 in one fell swoop. Moreover, even if his cultivation level has reached level 31, the power in the crystallization of divine power is still flowing into his body continuously, with no intention of stopping. Let his cultivation continue to soar forward. At the same time, the changes in the level rankings of the 2 game names of God's Kneeling and Almighty Old Monster also shocked the players who followed him in the God's game. Adding to the blood rain, some players were even more thoughtful, thinking of something in their hearts. But this answer was something no one wanted to believe. The colorful light faded, and Chen Ronghuo walked out. Then the shadow of the colorful spirit butterfly flashed and also entered his body. Li Shui, who was nervously waiting outside, was relieved when she saw Chen Ronghuo come out. She had seen a flash of light before, and Chen Ronghuo rushed into the sword formation. She was very nervous, but she was not strong enough to do anything. She was relieved until Chen Ronghuo came out. "Let's go." Chen Ronghuo pulled Li Shui's hand, pinched the seal in his hand, and reversed the frost power again. After sensing the center of this space, he moved his mind and took Li Shui back to the center of the circular area. Li Shui had already noticed that Yu Ningbing's name disappeared from the level rankings. The disappearance of the name on the level rankings was obviously not as simple as a life. However, Chen Ronghuo could actually kill a player with multiple lives, even a former god, so she couldn't help but be shocked. As for the gods kneeling and the almighty monsters level soaring, she didn't connect it with Chen Ronghuo. After all, a person has 3 game names, which requires a lot of imagination. Chen Ronghuo nodded, his expression calm, dead. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 575. Game notice, please exit the game within 3 hours. The game will be maintained and updated for 24 hours. After Chen Ronghuo's level was raised to level 31, such a message appeared on all attribute panels. Maintenance update. Are you kidding? This isn't a real game. How come it's not a real game? Kill monsters, complete tasks, and accumulate experience to upgrade. What kind of things are not only in games? But can your abilities from other games be brought to reality? Damn it, the gods didn't do this to Kneeling and Almighty Old Monster, did they? The two of them upgraded to level 31 together, and then it rained blood, and then the game started to be maintained and updated. How could there be any what a coincidence? Have any of you noticed that Yu Ningbing, who is ranked 15th in the level rankings, has disappeared? Does anyone know what happened? I haven't paid attention to her. Although the 15th place is not bad, it is not in the top 10. Who can pay attention to her? Even if she dies, she will die. It's begun. Chen Ronghuo, who led Li Shui out of the underground space, shook his head when he saw the message that appeared on his attribute panel. The game of gods has never been a game with good intentions. The previous time is just the preparation time left by the gods for themselves to better adapt to the game. But starting from today, this game will start to change drastically. Of course, because of Chen Ronghuo's unexpected factor, it is estimated that some gods are not ready at this time. But this way, wouldn't it be better? Those gods were never his friends. The next changes in this game will allow him to surpass them even more. Are you tired? Chen Ronghuo took Li Shui's hand and looked into her eyes. Fine. Li Shui's eyelashes trembled slightly, but she did not dodge. This time, she experienced a lot with Chen Ronghuo, but she quickly adapted to it, showing her good mental quality. But even so, Chen Ronghuo still saw the weakness in Li Shui's heart. After all, Li Shui is not like him. He has experienced too many things and can remain calm no matter what he encounters. After pondering for a moment, Chen Ronghuo finally said, "Being with me, you may be under a lot of psychological pressure." Li Shui trembled, as if she was afraid of what Chen Ronghuo would say. He held Chen Ronghuo's hand tightly. "I'm not afraid." Chen Ronghuo smiled, "Relax, you should have seen that I am different from the person I used to be." "Well, the soul is still the same soul. It's just that you experienced a lot of things when you didn't know it. So, let me tell you," Li Shui suddenly looked up, her delicate face full of determination. "My parents divorced when I was in high school, and I started living with my grandma. It was also from that time on that I no longer believed in love. Later, I went to college in Magic City, where I worked and studied, receiving scholarships every year, but I never fell in love. After graduating from college, I wanted to settle down in the Magic City through my own efforts. However, not long after I found a job, the end of the world came. You know, I was an ugly duckling in junior high school. At that time, you performed well and many girls in the class were secretly discussing you. I didn't join, but you did leave your shadow in my heart. This must be a secret love. After I thought the end of the world was coming, I realized that I had never been in love once in my life. But after searching around, I only found one person who had a good impression on me. Li Shui raised her head, her long eyelashes trembling, and Chen Ronghui's slender figure was reflected in her eyes. Chen Ronghuo immediately knew that the person Li Shui was talking about was him. So I started to contact you. Li Shui continued, after contacting you again, I felt excited and hesitant. Then I discovered that the you now are completely different from the you before. Even mysterious. But that first good impression, coupled with this mystery, makes me want to know you even more. As I got to know you better, I found that I would subconsciously send you several messages every day. If I didn't get a reply from you, I would have random thoughts in my mind and wonder if you were bothering me or if I was not performing well in some way. Good. So I am very sure that the person I like is you now. Li Shui raised her head, a bit stubborn. Chen Ronghuo's eyes met hers, and he could vaguely feel the unwavering determination. Coupled with Li Shui's self-report just now. It just so happens that the game is updated this time. Come to Sioux City. My mother said she wants to meet you. Ah. Li Shui suddenly froze. The stubbornness on his face has turned into shyness. Chen Ronghuo looked at Li Shui's rosy face and smiled. Amid her slight resistance, he hugged her to him and lowered his head. Not long after, in the ice and snow, the most beautiful flower in the world bloomed on this battlefield not long ago. 3 hours later, Chen Ronghuo and Li Shui agreed to meet in real life and said goodbye to each other. Li Shui looked at Chen Ronghuo standing in front of him with reluctance. Different from when they first met, when they parted, Li Shui's skirt was a little wrinkled and her face was red, but she looked more beautiful, as if she had a special charm. Just looking at Chen Ronghuo's smiling face, she didn't know why she didn't dare to look up. You bastard! After being stared at by Chen Ronghuo for a long time, she raised her fist and hit Chen Ronghuo boldly. Then she turned around and quit the game. Her performance was completely different from the past. I don't know if this experience was too exciting for her. Watching Li Shui leave, Chen Ronghuo stretched his body happily, and then his eyes fell on his attribute panel. Level 32. Level 33. Level 34. 35. The power in the divine crystal continued to flow into Chen Ronghuo's body until his level was raised to level 35 in one fell swoop, and then it stopped. And this was not because the power of the divine crystal was exhausted, but because a new layer of seal appeared inside it. This seal was extremely powerful. Although Chen Ronghuo's left-hand ability worked on it, it would probably take a long time to find this seal. After all, his current cultivation was too low. This seal was set by the ice goddess at her peak in the past. Fortunately, after Chen Ronghuo's cultivation breaks through to the 4th level, as long as he reverses the frost power again, the seal in the divine crystal will be automatically broken. So Chen Ronghuo thought about it and did not spend his energy to break the seal of this divine crystal now. As he breaks through to the 3rd level, the world of gods will definitely undergo major changes. In the next period of time, he has many ways to quickly upgrade to the 4th level. Even after the game is updated, he only needs 2 or 3 days, or even less time, to upgrade to the 4th level. Thoroughly surpass those players who join the game with him. My child had surgery and has been in the hospital for 10 days. He just came back today. I have updated too little. I apologize to the book friends. Well, I will resume updating 2 chapters from today, and the other chapter will be updated later.